My beloved child, pause here and do not move past this moment as though it were ordinary. Something has been waiting to reach you, and the timing of these words is not an accident. What you are about to hear was meant to find you when your heart was quiet enough to recognize it. There is a secret being carried by the person whose soul is connected to yours, and this secret is not about someone else. It is not about a distant future, a forgotten memory, or a passing emotion. It is about you. It has always been about you. And although your soulmate has tried to keep it hidden, heaven has watched the truth grow too powerful to remain in silence. Do not skip what comes next, because the first thing you must understand is that this secret did not begin yesterday. It has been forming slowly, quietly, beneath conversations that seemed normal and moments that appeared insignificant. Every time your name entered their mind without warning, every time they felt a sudden heaviness in their chest, every time they looked at their life and sensed that something important was missing, the secret grew deeper. They told themselves it was only curiosity. They tried to call it coincidence. They attempted to convince their own heart that they were imagining the connection. But the soul cannot be easily deceived, and what they feel for you has reached a point where denial is becoming more painful than truth. There have been nights when your soulmate remained awake longer than anyone knew. The room was silent, yet their thoughts were loud. They replayed words you once said, expressions you may not even remember, small acts of kindness that you believed went unnoticed. They remembered the way your energy changed the atmosphere around you. They remembered how something within them became still whenever they imagined standing near you. And in those private hours, when no one was there to question them, they admitted something they have not yet been brave enough to say aloud. They admitted that you have touched a part of them no one else has ever reached. Stay until the end, because that is only the surface of what has been hidden. Their secret is not simply that they care about you. It is not merely that they miss you, think about you, or wonder what life beside you might feel like. The truth is far more profound. Your soulmate has begun to believe that meeting you, or even sensing you before fully knowing you, was not random. They feel that you arrived in their life as an answer to a question they had stopped asking. You awakened a hope they had buried. You reminded them of a version of themselves they thought was gone forever. And now they are afraid, because once a soul recognizes something real, it can no longer return peacefully to pretending. You may have noticed changes without understanding them. Perhaps their energy became warmer and then suddenly distant. Perhaps they seemed ready to speak but pulled back at the final moment. Perhaps you sensed that something remained unsaid whenever your eyes met, whenever your name appeared, or whenever silence stayed between you longer than it should have. This was not emptiness. It was restraint. They were holding back a confession that felt too large for ordinary words. They feared that saying it too soon might change everything. They feared that saying it too late might cost them everything. So they remained trapped between longing and hesitation, hoping somehow you would understand without forcing them to reveal what they were not yet prepared to carry openly. But heaven has seen what you could not see. Heaven witnessed the moment they first realized that their feelings had crossed a line they could not uncross. It happened in an ordinary moment. There was no dramatic sign, no thunder in the sky, no voice announcing what had changed. They simply imagined losing the possibility of you, and something inside them broke open. In that instant, they understood that you were not merely someone they admired. You had become connected to the future they secretly wanted. The thought of continuing life without ever telling you the truth suddenly felt unbearable. Something huge is waiting for you in this message, but it must be revealed carefully, because your heart has been through seasons that taught you to question beautiful things. You have learned not to trust every promise. You have watched people speak warmly and disappear coldly. You have given understanding to those who gave you uncertainty. You have remained strong while carrying questions no one else could answer. And because of that, part of you may be tempted to dismiss this message. Part of you may say, "Why would anyone hold such a powerful secret about me? Why would someone see me as irreplaceable when I have felt overlooked for so long?" Listen closely. Being overlooked by the wrong people never meant you were invisible. Being misunderstood never meant you were unworthy of being known. The love meant for you does not measure you by the moments when you struggled. It does not reject you because you became tired, guarded, or uncertain. Your soulmate's secret is tied to the very parts of you that you believed made you difficult to love. They have noticed your quiet strength. They have sensed the tenderness beneath your caution. They have seen that your silence is not emptiness but depth. They understand, perhaps more than you realize, that your heart became careful because it once gave too much without protection. And here is where the secret becomes more surprising. Your soulmate has been speaking to heaven about you. Not always with perfect words. Not always in formal prayer. Sometimes it was only a thought sent upward in the middle of the night. Sometimes it was a whispered question, "Why do I feel this strongly?" Sometimes it was a plea. "Show me whether this person is truly meant to remain in my life." And sometimes it was simply your name carried inside an emotion too deep to explain. They have asked for signs. They have asked for clarity. They have asked for courage. But the answer they received frightened them, because every path of reflection seemed to lead them back to you. Do not skip now. The answer did not come as a simple instruction. It came through patterns they could no longer ignore. They would decide to distance themselves, and then something would remind them of you. They would attempt to focus on another direction, and suddenly a memory of you would return with greater force. They would convince themselves that time would weaken the connection, only to discover that time was making it clearer. The more they tried to understand why you affected them, the more they realized that your presence had awakened a truth within them. They did not want a shallow connection anymore. They did not want temporary attention. They wanted something honest, steady, and spiritually meaningful. And when they imagined that kind of bond, your face appeared in their heart. Yet they have not told you, because there is another layer to this secret. They believe you may already have the power to change their life. That thought has made them both hopeful and afraid. They know that loving you would require them to become more truthful. They would have to release old habits, old fears, and old defenses. They would have to stop hiding behind pride. They would have to admit where they have been wrong, where they hesitated, and where they allowed fear to speak louder than love. You are not merely someone they desire. You represent a doorway into a more honest version of themselves, and they know they cannot walk through that doorway while carrying every burden from the past. This is why their behavior may have felt confusing. One moment, they seem drawn toward you. The next, they become quiet. One moment, they appear certain. The next, they retreat into thought. Their heart moves forward while their fear pulls backward. They are not battling a lack of feeling. They are battling the intensity of it. They are trying to understand how one person could enter their awareness and expose every place within them that still needs healing. Your soulmate has also discovered something about you that you may not know they see. They see your loyalty. Not the loud kind that demands recognition, but the quiet kind that remains present even when no one is applauding. They see the way you remember small details. They see how deeply you feel, even when you pretend not to care. They see that you often protect others from the full weight of what you are carrying. They see the moments when you smile to keep the atmosphere light, even though your own heart is asking for comfort. And this has affected them more than they expected. There was a particular moment when they realized your kindness was not an act. You did something small, perhaps you listened when others would have interrupted, stayed gentle when you could have become harsh, or showed concern without asking for anything in return. You may have forgotten it, but they did not. That moment became evidence in their heart. It told them that you were different from the connections that had disappointed them. It showed them that your spirit carried sincerity. From that point forward, they began watching you with new eyes. Still, the secret continued to grow. They started imagining conversations they wanted to have with you. They imagined telling you about the parts of their past they usually hide. They imagined hearing your thoughts at the end of a long day. They imagined laughter in ordinary rooms, peaceful mornings, small disagreements followed by deeper understanding. They were no longer imagining only grand romantic moments. They were imagining real life. That is what frightened them most. Fantasy is easy to dismiss, but when the heart begins picturing ordinary life with someone, it is often because the soul is searching for home. Stay till the end, because heaven is revealing what happened after those thoughts became impossible to ignore. Your soulmate tried to test the feeling. They asked themselves whether they were only lonely. They wondered whether they had created an idealized image of you. They searched for reasons to become less affected. They may even have focused on your flaws, hoping imperfection would weaken the connection. But instead, something unexpected happened. The more honestly they looked at you, the more real their feelings became. They did not need you to be flawless. They wanted you to be true. And in recognizing your humanity, they felt even closer to you. This secret is not built on an illusion of perfection. It is built on recognition. They recognize your strength and your softness. They recognize that you can be confident and still need reassurance. They recognize that you can love deeply and still fear disappointment. They recognize that you have dreams you rarely share because you are tired of explaining them to people who do not understand. And somewhere within themselves, they made a private promise. If they are ever given the chance to stand beside you, they want to become someone who protects those dreams rather than diminishes them. But there is more. Your soulmate has kept something connected to you. It may be a message, a memory, a photograph, a song, a place, or a simple phrase you once spoke. Whatever it is, they return to it when they need to feel close to you. They have not told anyone how much it means. To others, it would seem insignificant. To them, it carries the emotional weight of everything they have not yet confessed. It reminds them that what exists between you is real enough to leave a mark. At times, they have almost revealed the secret. Their fingers hovered over a message. Their voice nearly formed the words. Their heart pushed them toward honesty. But then an old fear rose within them. What if I am too late? What if they do not feel the same? What if I speak and lose even the small connection I still have? So they stopped. They chose silence, not because silence felt good, but because it felt safer than uncertainty. Heaven wants you to understand that their silence has not been peaceful. It has followed them into ordinary moments. They have been surrounded by people and still felt alone because the one conversation they truly wanted was with you. They have smiled while carrying your name behind their eyes. They have completed daily tasks while part of their heart remained elsewhere. They have tried to become distracted, but distractions cannot erase what the soul has recognized. And now the secret has reached a turning point. Something recently happened within them. A realization, a conversation, a dream, or an unexpected reminder forced them to face what they had been avoiding. They saw clearly that waiting forever would not protect them. It would only create regret. They understood that the future does not always announce when an opportunity is about to pass. Sometimes the door closes quietly. Sometimes a person becomes tired of waiting without ever saying so. Sometimes love remains unspoken until life moves in another direction. This realization shook them. For the first time, their fear of losing you became greater than their fear of telling you the truth. That shift is important. It means the secret is no longer content to remain hidden. It is pressing against the walls they built around it. It is appearing in their dreams, their thoughts, and their choices. It is changing the way they view time. They are beginning to understand that there may come a moment when they must choose between vulnerability and permanent silence. You may feel something changing too. Perhaps you have sensed a strange emotional pull. Perhaps their name has entered your mind unexpectedly. Perhaps memories have returned with unusual clarity. Perhaps you have felt restless without knowing why, as though a conversation is approaching before any words have been spoken. This does not mean you must chase, force, or assume. It means only that emotional truth often creates movement before visible circumstances catch up. Do not ignore your own wisdom. This message is not asking you to abandon discernment. It is not asking you to accept confusion forever or to excuse behavior that does not honor your peace. Real spiritual love does not require you to lose yourself. It invites truth, responsibility, and mutual courage. Your soulmate's secret may be powerful, but the revelation of it must still meet you with honesty. You are not being prepared to settle. You are being prepared to recognize the difference between words spoken from temporary emotion and truth backed by action. That is why heaven has been strengthening you. The delays, the lonely seasons, the moments when you had to choose yourself, none of them were meaningless. You were learning not to confuse intensity with commitment. You were learning that real love does not only appear when it fears losing you. It stays, speaks, listens, and grows. You were becoming ready not merely to receive affection, but to receive something mature enough to honor the depth of your spirit. Your soulmate senses this change in you. They know you are no longer willing to remain in uncertainty forever. They know your heart is loving, but it is also waking up. They know that the version of you who once accepted half-spoken feelings and inconsistent effort is becoming stronger. This has added urgency to their secret. They understand that they cannot approach you with vague intentions. They must come with clarity, or risk watching you walk toward the life you deserve without them. Something huge is waiting for you, and now the hidden truth is approaching its deepest layer. Your soulmate has not only imagined telling you how they feel. They have imagined asking for forgiveness. There is something they regret. It may be a moment when they misunderstood you, a period when they withdrew, a choice that made you question your importance, or a silence that lasted longer than it should have. They know that their hesitation may have caused you pain. They know you may have interpreted their distance as indifference. And this thought has become difficult for them to bear, because the truth is the opposite. They cared so deeply that they became afraid of their own emotions. But fear does not erase consequences, and they know this. That is why the secret carries both love and remorse. They do not only want to tell you what they feel. They want to explain why they did not show it sooner. They want you to understand the battle you never saw. They want to reveal the old wound that taught them to retreat whenever something mattered too much. They want to tell you that their distance was not proof that you meant little. It was proof that you reached a place within them that had remained unprotected for years. There is a sentence they have rehearsed in their mind many times. A sentence they have imagined saying while looking directly at you. They have changed the words, softened them, erased them, and built them again. But the meaning remains the same: you became more important to me than I was ready to admit. That is the center of the secret. Yet it is not the final revelation. Because there is one more truth they have hidden even from themselves, and heaven is bringing it to the surface now. Your soulmate has made a private decision about you. They have not announced it. They may not have acted upon it yet. But deep within their heart, a choice has already begun to form. It concerns the future. It concerns what they are willing to release. It concerns a step they once believed they would never be brave enough to take. In the coming days, their inner world may become impossible for them to conceal. You may notice a change in the way they communicate, the way they look at you, or the way they suddenly seek clarity. They may return to a conversation you thought was over. They may ask a question that seems simple but carries a much deeper meaning. They may reveal a memory you did not know they kept. Listen not only to the words, but to the courage behind them. Still, remain grounded. Let actions reveal what emotions claim. Allow truth to unfold without forcing it. What belongs in your life will not require you to betray your peace. You are not meant to chase a secret. The secret is being prepared to come toward you. And now, my child, I must tell you what heaven saw only moments before this message reached you. Your soulmate was faced with a choice. One path allowed them to remain hidden, protected, and silent. The other demanded honesty, vulnerability, and the possibility of changing both of your lives. For a long time, they stood between those paths. But something shifted. They reached for something connected to you. They read it, remembered it, or held it close. Their eyes filled with an emotion they could no longer explain away. Then they whispered words they had never spoken before, not to a friend, not to family, not even fully to themselves. They made a promise involving you. And the most astonishing part is that the promise was not simply to confess their feelings. It was a promise to do something that could change the entire direction of your connection. But before that promise can be revealed, you must understand what happened to them immediately after they made it. Because someone unexpected heard what they said, and that person knows a truth about you that your soulmate has never been told.